me, you'll see under this published thing, there's something called developers, and then you can search on your name, and you'll see out here that like I have an application, like my name, and if you click on me, and then you'll see I have, this is what you go through in the Dev Jam. So essentially, you get an ID that then allows you to create what they call a developer app, and then this developer app allows me to then connect to, like, see, I have access to enterprise security and ETS wildcard, and what happens is these keys over here show me, like, what my key is to get into these guys over here.
Oh, okay.
Everybody gets one of these whenever you create a developer app, but you cannot create a developer app and see all this until you go through the Dev Jam and get that LDAP access. So what happens is, let me go and show you the reCAPTCHA one real quick. So reCAPTCHA, I did some reading on it from Nationwide perspective. Do you have the reCAPTCHA developer guide, the Google developer guide for reCAPTCHA?
Yes, I do have.
Yes, we do. Okay. So essentially, it looks like they did not set up proxies and Apogee in the test environment. So if you see over here, it says Nationwide Test.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also a Nationwide Prod right here. Well, in test, there's no, if you go up to develop, and you go to proxies, and change this to test, let's see if there's a reCAPTCHA here.
So they have created some dummy kind of, API where you just do a false testing something that we can hit production, like in Google. That's what my understanding was.
Yeah, what I know, it's right here. Yeah, so there's one right here.
reCAPTCHA 2.
You go to, see, we're Nationwide Tests, we're tests, so they have something called reCAPTCHA_2. And if you go inside of here, it gives you the endpoints, etc. And then somewhere, let me see if it's in here. Yeah, it gives you all the URLs for dev and test up here that you would hit. So what you were trying to do was probably call this proxy with a client ID or a client key, and you don't have one yet, because let me go look at you. I'm going to go over here to the publish and developers again. What's your user ID, Padma?
Meruva MERUVA.
MERUVA. Oh, there you are. Yeah, you see how you have no apps here? So what would happen is, inside of test, you would go here. You see all these different apps that people create? You'd create an app up here.
Do you have access to this? Can you check?
Do I have access?
No, I don't have access to this, Jason.
Yeah, I didn't figure you would, because you're not in this. Here's the LDAP group. I looked yesterday.
So how do I get access to all these?
Yeah, this is what I mentioned through the Dev Jam only.
Yeah. So we have to send an email to Kevin saying, yes, we haven't done the Dev Jam, but we need
but how do we get access? You see right now, these are your LDAP groups, Padma? And if you look at mine, I have a bunch, and there's one called right here, NW Apogee Edge API, blah, blah, blah. You'll get that after you go through Dev Jam, or Kevin needs to give you access to that, and then you'll get access to all that stuff I was just showing you.
So
can you send me the LDAP group name, just so that I can send him an email? I will CC you as well.
Yeah.
So that we have to get this added, Padma, to this group without even having training finished, right?
Yeah, and Kevin knows the group because he does this every day, pretty much. Let me, I'll just post it in here. Let me get the dev. Too many things looking up. Okay. I put it in the Skype. So anyway, first and foremost, that's what you need to do to at least get access to Apogee, so that, because what I'm explaining to you about developer apps, these are all like Apogee concepts. So what you'd end up doing is, once you get access, you go create an app here, and once you create this app, then it'll say, what do you want access to? And that's when you pick from the list the reCAPTCHA V2. And what happens is that will then give you that key that I showed you on a minute ago, and that way you can start using that key whenever you make calls to reCAPTCHA 2.
You mean the key or the client ID? Because we are not supposed to use the key.
Yeah, the client key. So,
the client key.
Yeah, we're kind of mixing terms, but if you go back to where I was, let me see see who has access to it really quick. Let me go to a reCAPTCHA.
So we have to add it, our application here.
1 second.
So where do we see the RESServices.net domain is there? It's already in Apigee, Google Apigee, registered domain.
What do you want to see?
So we have registered our domains, right?
Uh-huh.
For Apigee. So Google API. So where can we check that whether domains are here? Like how do we link our client key to the application domain we already have registered with Google?
Oh, let me see. You talking about?
That's what the documentation has.
Yeah, you talking about?
Yeah, that's the one, the list.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, I'm in the wrong Rocket Chat channel. I have too many actually Rocket Chat channels. What is it? Is it
reCAPTCHA? Yeah.
There we go. You talking about these right up here?
Yes, those are the ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
These are the domains.
Yeah. So I don't know who controls these, to be honest. I have no clue who actually controls all of this right up here. What I was trying.
Yeah, so they have done the registration with the Apigee. So I was saying, how do we, whenever we create a client ID, how do we make sure this gets mapped to these domains? Or it's just for all, whatever domain key we created, the client key, is it specific to a domain or not?
Yeah, so that doesn't, so this is only for Google side of things, what I'm showing you here. This has nothing to do with Apigee or anything like that. So, in Apigee itself, when we go over here, let's look at reCAPTCHA 2. Trying to see who has access to this. So the target endpoint, you see down here, this is where the proxy is actually going to. So whenever you call one of these guys up here, API, test, NUINet, blah, 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 reCAPTCHA, it's going to actually proxy to this URL right here. So instead of you calling this directly, you call this, and then this proxy then proxies out. That's how it works.
So,
but this guy here, this link, requires a client ID from you, a client key from you, to be able to access this guy. And that's done through that developer app that I was showing you a minute ago. So, but the thing is, Kevin goes through all this in the dev jam with you. It's almost like you're going to have an accelerated learning. He's going to have to walk you through this specifically to get you access, probably. So what I would do for this is I would go directly to Kevin, say we need access to that group, and then can you walk us through creating a developer app that gives us access to this guy, this API, and
So I will set up a meeting with him, another meeting today or tomorrow, because we asked for 3 more days because we were supposed to be done the Friday, then we were behind, so we supposed to be this weekend. So I will try to find some slot with him on his calendar today or tomorrow, and then we can train up.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to show you that there's quite a bit involved with this. It's pretty easy actually once you get access. It's just getting access that's the problem sometimes. So.
At least you are explaining us, Jason. No, there's nothing, So we have the office and trying to all the challenges.
Yeah, I'm showing you in about 10 minutes what they'll go through in like 2 days. So anyway, sorry.
Thank you so much.
So Jason, I have a question, Jason. Can you go back to that screen which you showed us, the target points and API endpoints? The one.
Yeah.
So when I call in my application, I'll use the test or the dev URL, right?
Yes, you use this test URL, right? Like right here.
Okay, so the test URL has the V2 version 2, reCAPTCHA version 2, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think the documentation did not have this link.
It didn't have this link in it?
It didn't have the link, the Apigee link.
Okay. You know what I noticed when I read their document?
Uh-huh.
And I have it right here, actually. When I read this document,
yeah, this is the one.
Was they talk about in test environments to call Google directly, the Google API directly. Somewhere in here it says that.
Yeah, but they gave the test key and all that. secret
Yeah,
key.
so here's the production one right here. It looks like. This may not be updated either, actually, to be honest, because there's V2s out there already in production. So
Yeah, I see all V1s only.
I'm trying to find where they said. Somewhere in here it says, in test, use the Google API directly. Oh, it's right here, I think. This API cannot accept your own secret key. Establishing an internal-facing proxy, pass in a secret.
But you see this one.
Put another version of the document in that Java chat somewhere, the link.
Yeah, but they removed this Apogee proxy, Seema, the version of. So,
Yeah, so the two things that I noticed with this is number one, let me go here real quick. Number one, Apogee, when you guys make a call to that API, nationwide.com, or, the Apogee URL, that when you make a call to this guy right here, you're going to have to pass in a client key, right?
Yes,
so
client key and token.
And then you're going to have to take this secret. It looks like this secret is coming from that Rocket Chat channel. They showed all these things down here, like these secrets. I'm assuming.
No. That's not the secret, Jason. That's the secret? No, that's the token. That's the. See, this is the Google API. What you're seeing.
Right,
the response. Right. The response is the key. The response is the site key.
Okay.
The secret is from the Google. So instead of using the secret directly, so they said use the Apogee. So we don't have to use the secret.
So you don't have to pass this. They do that for us in the proxy then, huh?
Yes, they do that for us in the proxy.
Okay, that makes sense. And then you have to pass this in.
Yes,
right?
Yes, that one and the remote IP in the proxy.
And that is one of these guys right here?
Yeah, the site key is that.
Okay.
The response is the site key. The response is the site key.
So it sounds like basically now all you need to do is get with Kevin to get LDAP group added, get a developer app, and then get a client key, and then you're good.
So if we can go back to the documentation, I'll exactly tell you. Correct me, this is just understanding. Maybe I'm understanding it correctly or not. Where they had the Apogee, they said go through the Apogee. I think you were there.
Right here?
Yeah, if you see sample request and the Apogee endpoint here. Yeah, little bit. So I have to pass the token and the remote IP. That's the client ID I was looking for.
Okay.
And then if you look at the API endpoint on the top, so that's what I saw.
I know your voice is, your voice is cutting somehow.
Yeah, if you see the API endpoint, and that's the version 1. I was thinking that's not updated.
Yeah, that looks like production. Let's go look at what production really is real quick. Hold on, let me go there. So let's go to production. So you go to Nationwide Prod, and this will be where all the nationwide.com ones are. So now let's look for reCAPTCHA. Takes a second to filter these sometimes. There it is. So they have reCAPTCHA 2. So let's look at that. And then the endpoints for production are API Nation. It says reCAPTCHA V2, whereas the other one said V1, right?
Yes.
Yeah, this says V1. Security processing V1. And this one's V2. Yeah, so it looks like the latest one's V2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that document's out of date, it looks like to me.
Yeah, it does. That's what I was confused. And
then the other one was if you go to developer, I think it was, I saw it down here somewhere. They had it in here, a direct link.
Yeah, we can search. Yeah, that's the V1 too. Oh, that's mine. Okay, that one.
Yeah, that's yours. Yeah, it's somewhere in here they had a direct link to, I think it's right up here, actually.
To the Google API, you mean? Direct link to
No, to the here it is right here.
No, you see the Thomas.
Yeah, that's to their actual,
No, that's
this is actually to their OAS doc.
Yeah, that's a documentation, Jason.
Okay. This is basically their OAS doc.
Yeah, that's just the documentation. I don't think that's even updated. I read
Oh, really?
Yeah, I read the API yesterday. All the documentation.
So this isn't updated?
Yeah. If you see the post call.
Yeah, this isn't good if it's not updated.
Yeah. See, if you see, I mean, I don't have any of those. Client ID, project ID, payload.
Yeah. So the client ID is what you'll get once you get with Kevin.
Yeah.
And you get that app created and all that.
Yeah.
This one looks like it's a hard-coded thing.
Yeah, that's not what we are looking for, right? We need a token on it. We need a response there.
Yeah. And then down here, it looks like this is what you're putting in the payload.
Yeah.
That token and that site.
Yeah, but at least that's optional. Oh, that's required. We don't know any of those.
Well, the site key is that thing we showed in the Rocket Chat channel, right?
Yeah.
It's over here.
I got the payload. I understood the payload part.
Yeah.
So it has 3 parameters then. It's not just 2.
Yes, client ID, which you'll get from Apogee.
Project
ID, which looks like it's hard-coded to this thing right here.
Yeah.
And then your token and your site key.
Yes. So we have to have 3 parameters, not 2.
Right. Yeah, it looks like, in V2.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we can't even get this far until you get access. So I would get with Kevin as soon as you can so that you get access. And then you can do this stuff.
So once we get...
Hard, actually. Doesn't...
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Once we get the access, I'm pretty sure we get the course issue too. So will it be resolved within Nationwide, or do we have to do it through our through our app database? The course issue.
What do you mean? What do you have to do?
The course issue, the cross origin resource scripting. You know.
Course? No, you would basically have to just pass in some headers. You basically have to pass in some headers to them, like a NW message ID and things like that.
Okay.
Has Kevin has all of that. I'll let him I don't want to confuse things. I'll let him give you all the sample requests that you have to send.
Yeah, that would be really great.
Yeah, I don't want to confuse it. I can show you everything, but I want to make sure he's taking that part and running with you. And now if you get to problems where he can't do it, then let me know and I'll help you with that part of it. I can't get you the access though like he can.
Okay. That sounds good.
Anyway, okay. I didn't realize this reCAPTCHA thing was like a urgent, like get done yesterday kind of thing.
Without any knowledge, that's the thing, we were fortunate that, the knowledge and book else in our team has,
Yeah.
All these times, but now I don't know how many hours she has spent over the weekend.
So, and also, I hope we don't hit the firewall when we test it in Postman.
No. It's to Google, right?
No, the Nationwide Apogee, Nationwide proxy, if you want to test through Postman, I hope we don't come across the firewall restrictions.
You shouldn't. Do you have iBoss and all that set up?
No, we are not on Nationwide network.
You're not on network. You're not on the network at all.
No.
Okay.
That's what we were saying, that you should be able to call directly. Because
Okay.
does it matter? That's what the question is. Do we need to go to Nationwide?
So how do you guys get to Concourse and things like that?
Oh, we log into our Nationwide. Sorry, go ahead, Sim.
No. Our existing applications are not on the Nationwide network, Jason. The one existing production app. So this is the first application which we are working on Nationwide network management system because we are going to cloud and also AI move all the applications into Nationwide network as we build this new application.
Okay.
But our existing applications are all on RIA network in Dallas.
Well, when you say that, you just mean that it's on your own hosting infrastructure, right? You host it on your own infrastructure. Yes, okay. I get you. I was thinking you don't have access to some of this stuff to test. I'm like, oh, no, you do. You should. Your iBoss settings, and when you talk about Postman, you're doing that from your local machine, right?
Yes, I'm doing, but for yesterday I was just using the Nationwide laptop
Okay. Yeah, so I wonder, because iBoss and all those proxy settings you have to have set up on your nationwide laptop to be able to use Postman to hit these things. So you wouldn't be able to hit Concourse or anything else if you didn't.
No, we won't.
You didn't have all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the question is, so once we have built it, can this, because Optima has access to nationwide network and all these FTG pieces, right, which is on hosted on network nationwide. Right. But once it is done, the call to Google app API won't be through nationwide. It will be directly from our production application to Google. Will that work?
So you would then go through the proxy. The proxy is open to you. It's fine.
Yeah, it should
You'll be fine in production. Yeah, you'll be able to go to, you'll be hitting api.nationwide.com/security processing whatever, and then that will then proxy to Google for you. So you won't have to worry about that.
That's what one was asking. So do we need any firewall issue? Will they, because they have registered the domain, so it won't be blocked something. Right?
No. You should be fine.
Okay.
You should be okay. From what I'm reading, everything should be okay for you guys.
Okay.
I was just getting confused on where you were talking about doing your actual work. I thought you were saying that you do your work outside the network. Yeah, you mean you host your applications outside the nationwide network? Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
Okay.
Let's see. So what I did, I'm gonna switch gears real quick and show you something I kind of put together. So in OneNote, I was just trying to document for you guys the different things that that we're going to be probably having to cover together. Anything from Apogee to, and I have a bunch of resources here for you to take a look at, and I'll send you this information. I was just trying to collect it all before we met. And things up at the top here are things like, access to Apogee via the dev jam. It's like the first thing you have to have. And then actual access to Apogee itself, this is the URL. And then inside of our, I'm not sure if you've read, have you ever been to nest.nui.net before?
No.
Let me give you that website. It's a website that my team and I, Kevin, myself, and a bunch of our teammates keep a bunch of information. Let me go there and show you. So it's basically a website, nest.nui.net, that you can go and basically search on anything that your heart desires. So if you just look up Apogee, you'll see tons of stuff about Apogee in here. So if you go to Apogee getting started, it gives you all kinds of information about Apogee, the CLI tool, blah, 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 blah. But this Nest website is where we keep information about everything. Let's see. So yeah.
There was another site they had shared with us in the last leadership meeting.
Okay.
So, do you know about that? Keith has been putting together for the architecture.
No. Is it a different site?
Yeah, that's a different site. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
They were saying for everything you need to go to that website.
Yeah, we've been preaching this one for about a year actually to a lot of people.
So that's on GitHub actually. pages.github.nui.net.
Yep. So if you go to nest.nui.net and just search here, you'll see all kinds of info. But what I did was I tried to pull together for you a lot of information, because once you start getting set up with OAS documents for your API and all that, this will teach you how to do all of that. And we can work through it together, or Kevin can, either one, he or I. Typically, the way I handle this with other groups is, do you guys know Jeff Kane by chance?
Say it again?
Do you know Jeff Kane?
I don't know.
No.
No. He's the other Apogee API guy at Nationwide with Kevin. They typically train everybody on this kind of stuff, help them. I then come in and help people with Spring Boot, Java, and all of this stuff here, Concourse, Kubernetes. That's typically how we do this.
Okay.
So that we split things up. I can also do this as well, but typically we let Kevin or Jeff handle it.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm going to send this all to you.
Okay.
So if we plan to do this over the remote now with all the situation,
Yeah.
So how do you think this is the best? Can we do like 2 hours a day or 4 hours a day, or how many days we are talking about? Like, do you have, I can talk to Kevin and saying that we are working with Jason.
Yeah.
And if Jason can take care of everything, starting from apogee all the way, whatever we need, so that we have one point contact, right, instead of going to different people. So you would have better, understanding how we are progressing and whatever gaps are.
Yeah, it really depends on where you need the most help. Whenever Jim Graffmeyer came to me and asked, do you guys know Jim Graffmeyer? Do you know him?
No.
You don't know Jim? So Jim oversees in Columbus like all RP. So people would go to him for requests. I think Dave Stockdale went to Jim and said, hey, we need help with Kubernetes and Concourse, and that's how I got in this thing. So, So what happened was I didn't realize Kevin was involved with you from an apogee perspective. So Kevin was like, how do you want to split this up? And I said, well, let me talk to him on Monday, and then I'll let you know. So.
Okay.
So I would say it's probably my calendar. Let me look. It's sometimes crazy, but we can.
My question is, whatever the APIs we have built, I know this is a security issue, but when our APIs are not going to be consumed by any other application, we are just building for our own application, right?
Yeah.
So is it the architecture that we still have to have an apogee API for all those?
Yeah, we have been doing that we've been doing that for everybody, every team. Yep. Regardless, because what we find is more often than not, people need information from each other someday or something, and it's already there, ready to go. So.
Got it. Okay.
So where we probably want to start with you guys is like setting up kind of a schedule or something of when we can meet, and we can start off meeting, for an hour this week every day maybe, and see how things go.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. And we won't start here. I'll kind of let Kevin get you going here.
Mm-hmm.
We can probably start down with Concourse and the Kubernetes stuff.
That's definitely very important. And then we will need your help in basically some DT access issues also. We have, what databases we should be having our UAT connect to, and how do all that information. If you can help us with that, that would be really nice.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to figure out who we can talk to over there. Is it Josh Quinlan or Ross Baru or somebody? Yeah. I know the guys over there. I don't know which databases I want you to hit, though, so we'll have to talk to them.
Okay.
My goal was to help you through Concourse pipelines. Yeah, go ahead.
So what time is it for you? Just morning?
Let me look. Usually mornings are best. Like, tomorrow morning is good. Same time tomorrow morning would work for me.
Okay. I can do 8 to 9 every day, but it's good for us because we are only remote. All of us are working remote now this week, so 8 to 9 is not a problem because 8 to 9 is 9 to 10 for you, right?
Right, yeah, that works for me tomorrow. And then we can do noon to 1 on, this will be 11 to 12 for you. Do you guys have anything from 11 to 12 on Wednesday?
I don't think so. I think my calendar is pretty open on Wednesday.
Okay. And then we could do 9 to 10 on Thursday, Friday as well.
Yeah, that would be
I think
good.
that works fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll do
I
9
will
to
set
10
up those
tomorrow,
right.
12 to 1, and then 9 to 10, 9 to 10. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I will also invite Wayne, who is supposed to be our concourse person, and he has some, Nick was here. Nick Hunter was here for 2 days with Dave last month.
Okay.
We did some hands-on work on the concourse side, but still we are not there yet. We are still,
Okay.
We need more help in that.
I noticed Patman doesn't have access either to the concourse stuff. I looked at what groups you need to be in.
Yeah, I submitted a group request. That's what Nick Hunter told us. I was
you did?
email. But that didn't, there was an IIQ request. He told us, so I asked them to include all three of us, but we got that added, but we still can't access it. So we don't know what else do we need access for.
For concourse?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need access to a GitHub team. So IIQ is part of it. So let me talk about that real quick while we have a few minutes still.
Okay.
And then we can go through it more, and I'll show you. So if you see here, Concourse has two different pieces to it. So one piece of it is what they call UCP. And let me go out and show you.
You said UTP?
UCP. I'm going to the URL now.
Oh, okay.
And I'll send you this information. You don't have to worry about it.
Thank you.
Fatma, let me go through one thing with you real quick, actually. Have you ever gone through the Cloud Native Platform tutorial yet?
No, I haven't been to.
Let me show you what that is. So if you go to cnp.nui.net, actually I'm just going to take you there myself. Go to cnp.nui.net. And at the top left up here, go to Cloud Native Platform tutorial.
Okay.
These steps will basically teach you everything except for Concourse.
Okay.
So this will basically... do you have set up Docker?
No,
Yeah.
I haven't.
So basically it teaches you how to set up Docker, how to install get Kubernetes working, how to use Helm to deploy applications, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, this was the website I was talking about. I had shared in my team meeting, but now we have, So this is put together by Keith and architects.
Yeah, they put all this together back maybe a year and a half ago. Maybe before Keith was there, but anyway, this is what we want. We need everybody to go through to get Docker, Kubernetes, everything up to.
That's what I have been going through. Actually, I'm learning something through this.
Cool.
Yeah.
But this won't teach you Concourse, obviously. But anyway, let me go. So back to this thing. When we get to Concourse, what happens is that you submit a request here. Let me show you what this looks like. Keith did this one, actually. What happens is it sets up your Concourse team. So that's what you see inside of Concourse when you go into Concourse. But it's tied to this LDAP group. Is that the LDAP group that you did an IAQ request for?
What is the group?
NW-RP-DC Direct.
No. That was not the group. Yeah. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, it's not. That's the group that.
This is the IIQ group. There was one IIQ group.
That was the Kubernetes access we asked for, right? The Kubernetes access SEMA had submitted the request. IIQ group.
Okay. So if you're not in this group, then you won't be able to see things in UCP for Concourse. So if we go back here and I go to UCP tools, this is where Concourse is, and you'll see these things called namespaces. And there's one down here for you guys called Concourse RP. Yeah, right here. See, Concourse RP CI Pipeline RA Services. Now, if I set my context to that, it's going to change it over here. And there's these things these are all Kubernetes things on the side over here. Pods and ingresses and services. These configurations are what are used for Concourse. So inside of your pipeline, you'll have secrets. You'll have different passwords and different things like that inside your pipeline.
Okay.
Those are all stored in here whenever your pipeline runs. So usually when pipelines run, they use a generic ID, username and password, that kind of thing. Well, it's all stored inside of here.
But I think we hard-coded the username and password.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they definitely need to be in here.
I don't think.
I can look at your pipeline.
Yeah, I don't think
That was another question we were always wondering, right, Padma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't think
definitely don't want to do that. You want to basically get access to this NW-RP-DC Direct group, and once you're in there, then when you go to this, what I just showed you, this UCP tools URL, and you change your namespace, this Concourse thing that right here that I showed you, and you go to configurations, you can add your own, they call them secrets, and this is where you would basically keep your username and password. So when your pipeline runs, it will come here, look at the secret here and pull it out of here that way. And only people that have RP DC direct access can go here and look at this. Like right now, I can't look at it because I'm not in that group.
In that group. Okay.
Like I'm seeing some stuff here, but I'm not. I wouldn't be able to see your secrets because I'm not in that group. So anyway, so that's step 1. Step 2 is now whenever you want to run, there's what they call in Concourse a fly command, where you can fly configuration changes. Well, to be able to fly configuration changes in pipeline YAML files and things like that, you have to go to here, and there are 2 GitHub teams that you have to be associated with, or one of these you have to be associated with. RP-CI-pipeline-RA services, or this supporting apps one. Do you know, Padma, are you in either one of these groups, GitHub teams?
I mean, that's ours, right? That's our pipeline, the RIA services pipeline.
Yeah, this is your GitHub team.
Yeah.
What is it called? RP. Let me look at something really quick. Organization. Team. Find a team. Let's see who's in here. Jared Spino, Nick Hunter, Keith Ebert, Seema, Angel, and Wayne. So you're not in here. So someone's going to have to add you and I to this so that we can work on the pipeline. Who's the owner of this? Do you know?
He should be the owner. I think they have made me also owner.
Oh, you are? Yeah, you can add Padma and I. Yeah. So she and I are going to need to be added here so we can actually do stuff in Concourse.
Okay.
There's 2 pieces to Concourse. So whenever you start to download the CLI tool and you start to run the fly commands, you have to provide a namespace. When you do a fly command, it can be like fly and then whatever the namespace is, and that will allow you to make changes. If she and I are not in this group, it will not allow us to do that, basically.
My team, I'm just trying to see the URL. If you can post the URL, I can just put that right there.
You want me to post it to you real quick?
Yeah.
Let me do that. Nick Hunter a Columbus-based person, or is he Dallas?
He's in Columbus.
Okay. I've never heard of him.
Yeah, I think he joined RP. He brought him, and then he gave him the RP. He was helping us for the last year and a half. And then he brought Nick in, but we are having hard time, challenge, getting his time, because he has other things also. And he's a lot of things. Like this week he's in cruise now. So it's we scheduled time with him, but like how you are walking us through everything, we haven't got this kind of information out yet.
Okay. If I do it too fast, just let me know, because I've been doing this for a long time. So.
That's what we want. Somebody who's able to walk us through. We have so many gaps. We can take like small pieces and bits of information. We can connect the dots.
Yeah.
And then we come in here.
Yeah, I don't mind helping. And if we meet an hour a day and you still need help after that, just we can either set up more time or you can rocket chat me anytime with questions. I do that. That's how I work most of the time, is do rocket chat with people.
Okay.
So I don't mind, or call me, whatever. So you don't have to worry. My goal is to make sure that you know how to do this and that you can be self-sufficient, that you don't have to rely on so many people to help you with different things, right?
Yeah.
Were you able to add us, or no?
No, I'm not able to click that. I'm just going to...
So you have to do a request to join.
Let me go back to this page. So those are the first things, Padma, to get access. And the next, I don't know if are you looking at my screen by chance?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. So the next couple things we need to go through with your pipelines are this type of thing. So I noticed that they already had set up things like Docker builds and Helm deploying apps and that kind of thing. But I noticed that there were certain things that looked like they were missing. So we need to talk through some of that. And a couple of those things are, have you heard of, you're familiar with Nexus? Yeah?
No.
You're not familiar with Nexus? Okay.
No.
So, yeah, we don't have enough time right now probably to go through all of that. Nexus is an artifact repository. So once you create a jar file, ear file, war file, etc. So in your Spring Boot app, you're just creating a jar file, right?
Yeah. So
once your jar file is created, the jar file is then uploaded into an artifact repository, okay? Similar to GitHub, but it's for artifacts, like jar files, ear files, zip files, that kind of thing. Then that's called Nexus, is what we used to use.
So I see all that in the CI/CD pipeline right?
What's that?
So in the CI/CD pipeline, I see all these things, artifact and all that.
Yep, that's what happens there. So inside your CI/CD pipeline, it uploads something to Nexus right now. Well, Nationwide is turning off Nexus in like the next month and moving to a tool called Artifactory, JFrog Artifactory. And it's easy to do. I just saw your pipeline when it was running in October. It was still pointing to Nexus, not Artifactory. So if they haven't changed it yet, we'll need to change that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, because then nothing will run if you don't have it pushed there. Let me go here and look. Which one is still good?
Yeah, the current one you have is good. The one which I yeah, that's a good one.
Exactly. So what's interesting is typically we don't have a UAT. We typically have UAT in with the main pipeline. Let me show you one that I've been working on with another team. This team, probably. So these guys are very similar to you. This team I'm showing you on my screen. They have a Spring Boot app that exposes an API to their consumers to use. There's an Angular app to use an API, okay? This particular thing is their actual API, their service, their Spring Boot app.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is, look over here. We have deploy dev, deploy alpha, deploy beta, etc., which would be your UAT, IT, ST, that kind of thing. But we do it in one pipeline. We don't have separate pipelines for each one.
So do you integrate the Angular also in this, or do we have a separate one for Angular?
No, so their Angular app is here. See, this one says UI on it?
Okay. So
that's their Angular app.
Okay. So we have to have all in one pipeline.
No, there's two different pipelines. One for your API, one for your UI, one for Angular.
I mean to say, like, all the instances, dev, UAT, and the production should be all in one.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
So, and what typically happens here, do you guys have automation tests or no?
Testing, not yet.
You don't have like Ruby Cucumber or anything like that going?
No.
We are going through Kafka. That's our plan.
Are you using Kafka? Okay.
Yeah.
Because typically the way this works, this team doesn't have it yet. They're still working on theirs too. Is what happens is this is all automated. When you get an actual push to GitHub to master and you're ready to push something, it goes here. This build test publish, it goes to create Docker image, and then it deploys to an environment in Kubernetes. Then at that point you have Tosca run against it to make sure it's good. And once it's good, then there's a trigger to then push to alpha, test there, automated, right? Not manual. And then push to beta or UAT, and then Tosca test there. That's typically what happens, all in one pipeline, not in separate pipelines. You wouldn't see like a IT, ST, UAT pipeline.
Okay, got it.
So it says Padma is already in the group, but I am adding you now. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. I don't see her in the group, but that's interesting.
I added in the RP Manage Account Admin.
Oh, yeah, we need to be in a different one.
In the pipeline members.
It's the RCCI Pipelines RA Services.
Okay, RP
CI-pipeline RA Services.
I thought those was the one that's overall admin.
No, it was only these two, I think. Let me go back there really fast. It's based on whatever's in this file on my screen, so yeah. So RPCI Pipeline RA Services or RPCI Pipeline Supporting Apps. If we're not in one of those teams, it won't let us in. Yeah, it's very specific, unfortunately. So anyway, what we can do tomorrow is go through let's go back here. We can start to walk through the pipeline a little bit, and then we can look at your GitHub repo for your pipeline, and look at like where you're hard coding stuff, pull that out, that kind of thing.
Yeah, in the Spring Boot also we hardcode the username and password.
Oh yeah, we can fix that too. I can teach you how to fix all that.
Okay, that would be great.
We'll pull that out into Kubernetes. I'll have to have access too to that GitHub, that IIQ group. I'll have to go and get access to that.
Okay.
Yeah, I will send you the group name, what we got added to, so that.
Okay. Yeah, because we need added to this RPDC RPDC director. It won't let us do what Padma's talking about.
You just send me the email with the links, and somehow I'm not able to find it.
Okay.
Yeah, then I will add you that.
All right. I have to jump and go meet with some other keynote people.
Okay.
But we can meet again